Yo, it's your boy Gabriel, another Fan TV coming at you with another video. This video we're going to talk about, is Chuck Clark actually requesting a trade? This comes from his Twitter yesterday. I'm going to read the tweet. I'll include it into the video. This can go one or two ways. It can go up. It can go down. Either way, I'm prepared. Now, this tweet has led to some speculation that is he talking about a trade, that, he's willing to stay with the Ravens, but if they do trade him, he's prepared to go down that route too. Now, it's Twitter, right? It's social media. This tweet could mean something. It could mean nothing. He could be, who knows what he could be tweeting out. He could be tweeting about to come back from adversity from last season and playing well this season. But truly, there has been trade speculation around Chuck Clark's name since the drafting of Kyle Hamilton. We got to be honest. The drafting of Kyle Hamilton gave the Ravens two starting caliber safeties. All right. Kyle Hamilton one, and Marcus Williams, who they signed in this offseason, being the other one. Right. So naturally, that leads a lot of Ravens trying to think, well, what does Chuck Clark fit into that? Where does he fit in that defense? And it's a fair question. And maybe Chuck Clark is wondering that himself, because soon after the draft happened, there was speculation about it, right? His agent kind of didn't confirm or deny the fact that Chuck Clark may be looking for a trade. So that kind of led to even more speculation, when it probably would have been better if somebody would have just came out and said, yes, we're requesting a trade. No, we're not. So with that being said, I think that Chuck Clark is kind of getting a bad rap, right? He's one of the defenders who had a really, really tough season last year. And honestly, most of the defense had a tough season last year. There's only two players that I can really call out and say that, you know what, you played well for a majority of last season. And those two players would be Tyus Bowser, who probably had the best season of his career, who I would say was the Ravens' defensive MVP last year, and Odafe Oweh. Came in as a rookie, started off strong, helped win some games. Kind of faded towards the end a little bit, but, to be expected. He's a rookie. But those two guys, in my opinion, played well for the majority of the year. Everybody else had ups and downs, struggled some games, and looked like overall liabilities on the defense. Now, that's to be expected. Why is that to be expected? I mean, look at how many injuries we had last year, man. It was just, it took a toll on the defense that just couldn't be fathomed. I mean, the Ravens had a unbelievable, astronomical amount of injuries last year, kind of a fluky amount, honestly. So, and then also, let's talk about the scheme, man. Chuck Clark was placed next to Deshaun Elliott. They are both box safeties. So when it comes to stopping the run, when it comes to playing 15 yards and in, they can do that. But too many times last year, these two guys were asked to be 30 plus yards away from the line of scrimmage. That's not what they do well. And that's on the Ravens for not having versatility in the safety room. Now, obviously, Geno Stone came in and he made some plays, played well. Brandon Stevens came in, played a little bit of safety, played well. But primarily, we started out the game with Chuck Clark and Deshaun Elliott. So, of course, our coverage wasn't going to be as good. Like, we got to think about that. He wasn't put in a position really to succeed last year. Now, let's move down. Let's transition to this year. Mike Macdonald is here, new DC. Now, what did Mike Macdonald do at Michigan? He played three safeties a lot of the time. Now, what do the Ravens have now? Three starting caliber safeties. Deshaun Elliott is gone. He's with the Lions now. So that leaves Marcus Williams, Kyle Hamilton, just drafted, and Chuck Clark on the team from last year. So Chuck Clark has a role on this team. He's going to be, in my opinion, he will play that dime linebacker role, sit in the box, guard everything 15 yards and down, come up, crash the run, and play well in that role. He was miscast last year, wasn't used properly to his skill set. So of course he's not going to look as good as he would have in another system. I mean, we just got to be honest about that, right? And to me, so I have multiple reasons for being against Chuck Clark being traded. One, I believe that he really is a leader on this team. He's somebody that the players trust. He's somebody that the organization trusts. And that's a big deal. We're coming in with a new defense, some new players. And we need a leader, man. You can look for Marcus Peters to be that kind of guy, Calais Campbell to be that kind of guy. And I think Chuck Clark is one of those kind of guys, man. He's a leader on this team. What else? Like I said, Mike McDonald's going to use his skill set effectively last year. I think last year was an aberration for the entire defense. Giving up that many 20-plus yard plays, that many explosive plays is just not the Ravens style. So this year, I'll look for that to change, to be quite honest. And I think Chuck Clark has a role on this team. All right. Now, that's my spiel about why I wouldn't trade Chuck Clark. Now, we got to look at the other side, right? We got to refer back to the podcast that Eric DeCosta did with the Lounge. If a player requests a trade, no longer wants to be with the Ravens, he will oblige. He was not going to hold anybody here who, against their will, who does not want to be Ravens. All right. Now, with that being said, nothing formal has happened with Chuck Clark. As we said, this tweet could mean something. It could mean nothing. Who knows? Now, if Chuck Clark was to be traded, Eric DeCosta made it very clear on the podcast with the Lounge that when the Ravens go into trades, they're not just going to trade somebody to trade somebody. That's just not how they operate. They want to win that trade. So if Chuck Clark was to be traded, it's going to be for fair compensation or above fair compensation. That's the only way they're going to do it. Okay? And two teams that I've heard mentioned with Chuck Clark, just rumors on Twitter, the Eagles and the Giants. Now the Giants have Darius Slayton, who has been mentioned in trade talks. Apparently they're close to possibly cutting James Bradbury so he wouldn't be in it. So we're talking about Darius Slayton and maybe a mid-round pick. Do I think that's enough for Chuck Clark? I mean, possibly. I mean, Darius Slayton is a speed receiver that can stretch the field. Hands are a little inconsistent sometimes, and his overall play is inconsistent. He's more suited to be a wide receiver 3. Do I think there's enough competition for Chuck Clark? Like I said, possibly. But would I do that trade? Not really. I mean, I'm not desperate to trade Chuck Clark for Darius Slayton. And then the Eagles. Eagles have Jalen Reagor, who's looked like he's on the outs. A.J. Brown is the Eagle now. Devontae Smith was drafted very highly last year. And Quez Watkins broke out last year, at least as far as being a starter. So that's 3 guys right there, and they still got Dallas Goedert as a tight end. So the pass-catching options on the Eagles team is kind of full. So, but would I trade Chuck Clark for Jalen Reagor? Probably not. So it's like Ravens fans can want Chuck Clark on and things like that. And I think he's become a scapegoat for no reason. Like I said, I gave all the reasons why last year happened. I think there's still a good player in there. So would I trade Chuck Clark for that, for those 2 receivers? Honestly, I wouldn't. I hope Chuck Clark can find a way with the Ravens organization to make this work and come back and be that Chuck Clark that we saw in 2019. And why 2019? Because that's the last time he played with a true free safety. Earl Thomas up top. Now, for everything that Earl Thomas has done and all the issues he had off the field, he was a true free safety and allowed Chuck Clark to play what he does best. Play near the line of scrimmage. That's what he does best. So now with Marcus Williams right there, the first true free safety, that he's played with in 2 seasons. We can see that the best of Chuck Clark, which transitioned into him getting paid. So hopefully we see that guy again. So that's my spiel on Chuck Clark, man. Hopefully he's a Raven by the time season comes around. In my opinion, I would love to see him stay in that Ravens uniform. I'm a fan of Chuck Clark. But you guys let me know. Will Chuck Clark be traded? Will he be a Raven? And give me some trade possibilities, man. Who would you like to see traded for Chuck Clark if it was to go down like that, man? It's your boy Gabe with This Other Fan TV. I'm out.